Today we will again discuss on the window functions. So basically, what is a window function? So window functions are used to perform some calculations, mostly aggregations, to assign some rank or assign some value, right, based on some set of records. So the set of records that we apply these window functions are called as partitions or the window, right? So the window word represents the group of rows on which the function will be operated, right? So the window functions will perform the same way as any other aggregate functions work, like sum, max, min, average. But that what happens when we do a group by using aggregate functions? So let's say we have 3 records in a table, right? And we are doing a group by on this blue column, right? And after doing group by, we are doing an aggregate function, for example, sum, right? So it will do the sum of these 3 white boxes or the values, and it will give you only one record at the end. We know in group by, right? Based on each group, we'll get only one record as the output, right? It can either be the sum, the count, or the max and min value. And for a particular group, you're going to get only one record as the output when you use the aggregate functions using a group by, right? And using a window function, we can do the same aggregate calculations, but this time the number of records that we get in the output will be same. For example, if the table has 3 records, the aggregate function will be applied in this group of 3 records, but it will be individually appended with all the records in the output. So you will see the aggregate value along with each records that you get in the output, right? So this is how the window functions work, right? So the aggregate functions will operate on the entire table. So it operates on all these records and it will give you one record as the output. But the window function will not give a result to be combined into a single row, right? It means the window functions works on a group of rows and returns total value for each row. Like I said, it will perform the aggregate on the group of records, but the result will be appended with each row in the table. So what is the advantage of window functions? That is, like, the rows will retain its identity, right? For example, I have a table here by the name product sales, and this is the data, right? So if I want to see the sum of all the sales for a particular country, right? How will I do using group by? So it will be like select sum of sales, right? And based on country we need, so we need the country also. From product sales table, we'll group by country, right? So this will give me the sum of all the sales, total sales for a particular country. So when I run this, for Australia we have 45,000 as sales, for Britain again 45,000, and for Canada it's 46500, right? So what happened here? Even though the table had 9 records, 3 records each for a country, we got only one record as the output for each country because we grouped on the country. So what happened? The other records lost their identity. Means we are not able to select all these other columns since we are grouping by on country and we are doing a sum of sales, right? But the same thing we can do using a window function, and we can create a new column, and that will again do the aggregate like sum of sales for each country. And this time we will also retain the identity of the records. Means we can still display the employee name, year, country, product name, and sales. So let's see how we can write that query, right? So we did a sum here. In Windows function, we'll still do a sum. So the query will be something like this: select star, which means we can select all the columns from this table, right? So the window function that we are going to use is sum. We're again going to do a sum of sales, right? And syntax is over, and we are doing it based on country, right? So we have to do a partition by country. So this partition by is similar to group by, right? So we are doing partition by country, and that's it. So for each country, we'll get the sum of sales. In the last session, I mentioned you there is an order by clause, which is compulsory in case of window function. So I was wrong that time. So when we use aggregate window function, the order by clause is optional. You don't have to give that, right? So in aggregate window functions like sum, max, min, and average, also count. So these are few of the aggregate window functions. In case of these functions, the order by clause is optional. Okay. So I correct myself from the last session. I said it is compulsory. It's not. For other window functions like ranking window functions and value-based window functions, the order by is compulsory. But for aggregate window functions, it is not. Okay. So now we saw when we run this query, sum of sales, and we are doing a group by on country, we are just getting 3 records and the total sum of all the sales for each country, right? So now we want to display the same along with all the records from the table also. So we will be using an aggregate window function. So what we are doing, sum of sales, which is same, right, over what is our partition by on country. So we are still grouping on country. So let's say we name it as total sales country from product sales table. So if I run this particular code, we are getting a new column, which is total sales country. And if you see for the country Australia, the sum is again same, 45,000. For Britain also, it was 45,000. So we are seeing 45,000 the total sales in Britain also. And for Canada, it is 46500, which is correct. So essentially, we did a aggregate. We took the sum of all the sales for each country, right? And we displayed it across all the records. So this way, we retain the existing records and the identity is maintained. Means we are not, reducing any information, and the number of records are also saved. So in case of group by, if we take total sales total sum of sales, we get only 3 records based on our group, which is country. But using a window function, we can do the same, but it will be displaying on a row level, not on a table level, right? So we get the sum like this. So clear on this part, what we did here and how it is different from group by?
Yes.
Yeah. So essentially, this is this part. So group by 3 countries. For one country, take it like this. For a country Australia, there were 3 records. We did a sum, and we get only 1 record as the output, like 45,000 and Australia, right? But here we had 3 records for Australia. So it's like record 1, 45,000, record 2, 45,000, record 3, 45,000. So that's the difference between a group by and a window function. So now let's move on to the next part, which is window function types. So there are 3 different types of window functions which are most commonly used. First is the aggregate window functions. So these functions are operated on multiple rows, right? And what are the functions that we use here? They are sum, max, minimum, average, and count. So this is similar to the functions that we use with group by. Only thing is, like, it will be applied on a row level instead of a table level, right? And as I said, with aggregate window functions, the order by clause in the over part is optional. You don't have to give the order by in the aggregate window functions. It's not compulsory. You can give based on your requirement, but that's not mandatory. But the window functions like ranking window functions and value-based window functions, you will have to give the order by clause. That is compulsory, right? So these are the things. So we discussed aggregate window functions last time. We saw some examples, sum, max, min, average, and count, and then we also discussed on the ranking window functions. And the value-based window function is something which we have not discussed, which is lead and lag function, and the first value and last value. So we will see these examples today. So today we are going to cover some more examples on aggregate window functions. We'll see how it works, and we will cover the value window functions, basically lag, lead, first value, and last value. And next session, we are going to discuss on the ranking window functions one more time, right, with proper examples, like how we use them. So the next slide talks about the syntax of the window functions. So it's like we discussed last time. It will be window function name. This can be any function, aggregate window functions or a ranking window functions. Then the expression. The expression is essentially the columns on which we are applying the function. So in this case, it was the sales column. So this is considered as an expression. And after this, we have a over clause. So the over clause, as we discussed last time, has two parts. First is the partition part. So the partition part is essentially the group by, which decides on which group of how do you basically want to form the group of records. That is on partition by. And then how do you want to order it is on order by clause, means on which order the window function should be applied. So we'll see some examples how order by will make a difference when we use it along with partition by. Okay. So clear till this point? The syntax of window functions, what is a window function, and what are types of window functions?
Yeah.
Okay. So let's see some examples then, right? So we saw how group by works, how window function is different for a group by. So in this example, what we did, we displayed total sales for each country by creating a column total sales country. So we took the sum of sales for each country. But the first question here is display total sales across all the countries by creating a column total sales, which means I need to take the sum of all these 9 records, 9 sales, without grouping on a country, right? Basically on a table level, the total sales in this table I want to display. So how do we write that query? It will be like select star. We are still doing a sum of sales. This we want to do on a table level, and the group by query for that will be, if I have to do it using a group by, I will remove this country, right? And I will not have a group by because I want to get the total sales in the table. So if I run this, what I get, value is 136500.00. So this should be the value which should get displayed across all the records in my window function, right? So select star, which will select all the records from the table. We are doing a sum of sales. Since we have not used any group by here, we'll leave the over clause blank. Means we are not going to give any partition by clause because we want the sum to be done on all the records of the table, right? We will name it as total sales, and from what table? Product sales. So if I run this query, now you can see the total sales is getting displayed as 136500, which is this value, right? For all the records, because we did not specify a partition by, unlike the following query, right? So since no partition by and order by was defined, it did a sum on all the records. So it basically took sum of all these 9 sales and gave us the output across all the 9 records. Clear on this? How do we do a sum on table level versus how do we do a sum on some partition based on some groups? Clear till this point? How we use sum function?
Yes, bye.
So okay, you're sure you're clear, right? You're understanding, right? What happened?
Yeah, got it.
How it is different from group by and all. Okay, so the next question is display the cumulative sales for each country year wise in ascending order. So when I say year wise, what will happen? So for Australia, there are sales for 3 years, right? 2017, 2018, 2019. So when I say cumulative sum, the first and in ascending order of the year, which means first we have to take the sum of 2017 for country Australia. So when we do this sum, the sum should come as 15,000. For 2018, the sum should come as 15,000 plus 10,000, which is 25,000. And for 2019, it should come as 15,000 plus 10,000 plus 20,000, which is 45,000, right? So we need to display like that. So let's see how we can write that. Select star. We are again doing a sum of sales, right? We need it for each country, which means we have to do a partition on country, right? So we will name it as cumulative sales country year, let's say. But as it says, we need to take the sum for each country year wise in ascending order. Means we need to order by on
Year.
year in ascending order, right?
So no, by is missing. Order by.
Thank you. And from product sales table. Let's see the output, how it comes. So you see, for each country we did a group. So for Australia there are 3 records, and in ascending order of the year. So let's take 2017 first. So for this group and first 2017 year, the sum of sales will be 15,000. So it gave 15,000 in our column. When it goes to the second record, 2018, again for Australia, this time the sales will be 25,000 because it did a sum of 15,000 plus 10,000. So it displayed 25,000, right? So if you have a requirement, to say how much sales how much profit or how much sales are increasing, each year. So that way you can do a cumulative sum, order by on the year on ascending or descending order, and you can get the sum. Like what was the sum first year, how much it increased in the second year, what is the sum in the third year. Like for the third record for Australia, it will give the sum of 15,000 plus 10,000 plus 20,000, which is 45,000. Right? So this is how cumulative sum works and why it happened. So if we don't give any partition by, it gave us 1,36,500 rupees as total sales, right? When we did a partition on country, it gave us 45,000 for Australia, if you remember. It gave us 45,000 for Britain, and it gave us 46,500 for Canada, which was the total sum of all the sales, right? But when you add an order by, it gives you a cumulative sum. So means as and when it gets a record for the partition, it will do the sum. So first, and if you remember, when I told the definition of window function, it applies the aggregate value on a row level. Aggregate function will be applied for each row, right? So 2017 Australia is the first row. It applied a sum, 15,000. Then it gets 2 records. 2018 Australia, it adds 15,000 plus 10,000, 25,000. Then it gets 3 records, 17, 18, 19 for Australia. It does sum of all the 3 records, and it gives us the total sum, which is 45,000, right? So this is how cumulative sum works. If you give an order by, it just changes the dynamics of the query altogether, and it will give you the sum in this way. So the next part is display cumulative sales for each country, again year-wise, in descending order. This means this time the order will be 2019 will be first. So first record will be 20,000. Second will be 2018. Second sum will be 20,000 plus 10,000, which is 30,000. And the third will be 20 plus 10 plus 15, which is 45,000. The order will change how the sum is done. Let's see that. So the query will again remain the same, right? We are still taking sum of sales. We are doing a partition by country. We are doing an order by year, this time in descending order. Means we will first take the record for 2019 and then go 2018 and 2017 and do the sum. So let's see. So if you see this time, the order changed. So year 2019 is the first record. So the sum of sales was 20,000. It displayed 20,000. Then it gets the record 2018 in Australia. This time it will sum 20,000 plus 10,000. So it gives 30,000. And then it gets 2017 in Australia. The sum will be on 20,000, 10,000 plus 15,000. So overall 45,000 is the sum. So this is how the cumulative sum works. Right? Clear on this part?
Yeah, bro. Here suppose we are not using the order by, bro. What will we get it?
if we are not using order by,
We will get
it will
the
be this query, right?
okay. Yes.
So it
Yes.
will be 45,000 for
for
each
all
country
three.
wise. Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
So
With the help of
basically,
order by only. Yeah.
basically order by was, adding sum as and when it was getting a record. So 15,000 plus 10,000,
Okay. Got
25,000,
it. Got it.
right? So that
Yeah.
is the cumulative sum. So if you
Yeah.
have a
For
requirement to get
cumulative.
a,
Yeah.
yes, for cumulative, you have to define an order on which order you want to take the cumulative sum. In this case, we took the year column, year wise sum we took,
Got
right? So we have a order by on
Got
the
it.
year part. So,
Got it, bro.
so if you don't do a partition by or order by, it takes the sum of all the sales in the table, basically sum of all these records. If you do a partition by on country, it will give some of these three records as one set, some of these three records as one set, and some of these three records as one set, right? Again, for cumulative, you can do this, and it will again add the records, this time year wise, but the final sum will be same, 45,000, right? So clear on this part, how we can use the sum function
Yes.
as a window function.
Yeah.
Yes.
So the next is we will use the max function now. So first is like display maximum sales amount across all countries by creating a column maximum sales. So if you see here, what is the maximum value for a sale? It's 25,000,
25,000.
right? So it should be
Canada.
like 25,000 should be displayed for all the records. So you want to try the query?
Select star.
Select star comma.
Max of sales.
Max of sales. Over partition by country.
Yeah. Partition
For
by
all,
country.
it's all countries, not individual countries.
Okay.
So overall,
Okay. There's overall
Yeah. Okay.
as maximum sales from product sales.
so you're getting 25,000 for all the records.
Yeah.
Now same thing, maximum sales country wise.
Partition by country.
So let's see if that works. So you are seeing for Australia, the maximum sale is 20,000. So you're getting 20,000 everywhere. For Britain, it's again 20,000. So you're getting 20,000. And for Canada, it's 25,000. So you're getting 25,000, right? So the next question is display maximum sales amount for each year by creating a column maximum sales year. This time the grouping have to be on the year part. So like for Australia 2017, there are three records. So I need to get the maximum value of sales in 2017. So try this one out.
Max of sales over partition by year as maximum sales year from product sales.
Okay, let's see. Okay, so now we have grouped the year records all together. So if you see, the first three records are for 2017. So grouping is done correctly on year. So maximum sales was 20,000 for 2017. So 20,000. For 2018, it was 15,000. So 15,000 everywhere. And 2019, it was 25,000. So 25,000 everywhere. So clear how partition by works, how it changes. Right?
Yeah.
So what happens if I do a order by here? Order by, let's say I'm doing country, right? What will be the maximum sales in this case? In these three values, let's take example of 2017 only. Order by is already on country, so it's already in order, ABC, alphabetical order, right? What will be the value coming here, here, and here?
Cumulative sum.
No, maximum. This time I'm taking max, not sum.
Oh, okay, max. Okay.
So you
The
need to
maximum
remember.
sales per year would be the same, Sishendu, as we are creating partition on year. It's just that representation will change according to the country. Australia, 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 Britain, Britain, and Canada, Canada, Canada.
Let's see. I think it will be 15,000 for the first value, 15,000 for the second value, and 20,000 for the third value. It should work. Oh, so I was right. Right. So we discussed the window functions will process row wise, right, for a particular window. So what is the window here?
Yeah, man.
Year. So first it
Yeah.
gets this record. Take the cumulative sum example, right? First it took this
Mm.
record. What is the maximum value for this record? It's 15,000, correct? Then it gets this record in the order. So what is the maximum between 15,000 and 10,000? 15,000, right?
15.
So
15,000.
it displayed 15. So now it gets the third record. So it's 20,000. So what is the maximum between these three? 20,000. Right?
20,000.
It displays 20,000. Same thing here, right? First for this 2018 group, it takes 10,000. So its maximum is 10,000 only. It displays 10,000. Then it gets 15,000. Maximum is 15,000 among these two. So it displayed 15,000. Third is 1500. So it displayed 15,000 because 15,000 is still the maximum, right? Similarly, in this case, for Australia, Britain, 20,000 is the maximum value. And as soon as it gets the third record for Canada, it gives the maximum as 25,000. So this is how the order by makes a difference, right? Because it processes record by record. And if I don't give this order by, it takes the record first, applies a maximum on all these three records, then displayed. Order by will go order by order, record by record. Clear on that?
Got it.
Yeah.
Okay. Same thing. Now average, right? Average across all countries. So the query remains same. Over clause will be blank because we don't want to partition on anything, right? So the max you can change it as average. Correct? So it gives you the average value for all the sales. So maximum not, let's make it average sales, right? So now average sales for each country. Query still remains same, right? So only partition by country. So you get the average values for each countries, right? So the next is minimum. It's again same, min max. Country. So what is the minimum sales for all the records in the table? Is 1500, right? Let's see if we get 1500. So we got 1500.
Yes. 1,500.
This is for all the records, and on a table wise, we'll get it as partition by CO by country. So minimum for Australia is 10,000. Minimum for Britain is again 10,000. And minimum for Canada is 1,500. So what happens if I do this? What will be the output now? Tell me for Australia only. If I do a minimum sales, I'm partitioning it by country and I am ordering it by year in the ascending order. So what will be the minimum sales now?
First, it will go to the country, bro. So in the country, first value will taken. Next, first two values, which one is the minimum will taken. next three,
To
what
give,
is the
tell me
minimum we'll
the
take?
output na. What is the value displayed here? So
Australia, right? Australia. First one will take the 15,000.
correct,
Next will gives the 10,000.
correct.
Next will gives the among all these three minimum is the 10,000.
Correct. So let's see if that is what we are getting. So 15,000, 10,000, 10,000, right? So you got the
Yes.
concept how order by makes a difference,
Yes, Maya.
right? So whenever you add a order by, it will process record by record. When only
Record
for
by record.
partition, it takes as a group by. It will combinedly get the minimum value display for all these three. That is why when we do a cumulative sum, we add a order by, right? Because we want to get the sum record by record, either in some order, ascending or descending. Yeah, so that is how it works. Correct?
Yeah.
So this was on the aggregate window functions, how we use, right? And how we can take a aggregate on the entire table level, how we can do it on a particular partition, and how we can do it, record by record by adding a cumulative sum.